Hey guys, I'm Paul the Motor Guy, and welcome to my channel, where I pass on riding tips, practice drills, and defensive riding strategies. Now, I'm a rider coach, a motorcycle sergeant, and owner and instructor at ProRider Central Texas, where we teach police riding skills to civilian riders. This video will be part one of a two-part series covering the dreaded keyhole exercise. Now, I didn't want to make a long video covering everything because I thought it would be too much information thrown at you at one time. So I decided to break it up. So in this video, I'm gonna cover 6 common mistakes I see riders make when doing this exercise. So if you're having trouble with the keyhole exercise, hang tight. The keyhole exercise. Now this exercise is one of the most hated exercises because you're confined within a boundary, and because of the shape of the exercise, it gives you the appearance that it's tighter than it really is. Now, no matter how tight or how wide you make this exercise, the techniques for being successful are the same. So let's talk about some of the common mistakes I see riders make when doing this exercise. Mistake number 1 is that riders are too tense. Now again, due to the shape of the pattern and due to the boundaries, riders tend to be very tense. Now remember, the more tense you are, the harder it is to work the controls. And it causes you to forget about the basic principles, such as the friction zone, head and eyes, and using all your space. So you must stay relaxed and confident. Now, mistake number 2 is not using all your space. Now, using all your space, as I've talked about in my U-turn video, is very important because there's not a lot of space to make up for any errors. Now, I'm going to use a couple of diagrams to explain this. Okay, so now I'm going to use this diagram to show why it is important to use all your space when you're doing this exercise. So normally what I say is this. So instead of riders coming in, using all their space, getting their front wheel as close to this 3 o'clock cone as they can, what they tend to do is this. They'll come in and the bike placement will be somewhere in here. So now remember, whatever space you give up here translates over to this side. So let's say they come in and the bike placement is about 2 feet off from that cone. So now, instead of this being an 18-foot circle, now it's a 16-foot circle just because your bike placement was off. So now the second mistake I see riders make is they will give up space at the top of the circle. So instead of coming in, using all their space and riding the wall for a little bit until they get up in here, what they would do is they will come in and they'll start their turn early and the arc of the turn will be somewhere in here. So now remember, whatever space you give up here translates down to here. So now as the riders come in and they're making their turn, they end up getting pushed out of the circle down here. Now, mistake number 3 is improper head and eyes. There are 3 things I see riders do when it comes to head and eyes. First, they tend to look at the cones on the opposite wall instead of turning their head and looking at the exit. Now, the second thing is they don't turn their head and look at the exit soon enough. And now the third thing is they have a slow head turn instead of a quick head turn. Now remember, the quicker you turn your head, the quicker your handlebars will turn, which will make for a tighter turn. Now, mistake number 4 is pulling in the clutch. Usually riders will pull in the clutch as the motorcycle gets about here. Now, I believe that riders do this because this is when the motorcycle is at its lowest lane angle, which makes some riders uneasy. And then when they become uneasy, they put in the clutch, which loses power to the rear wheel, and then the motorcycle falls. Now, mistake number 5 is too much speed. Another thing I see is that when riders get to about this point, as I mentioned earlier, they don't trust the friction zone. And they will let out too much clutch, which causes them to pick up speed and run wide. Now, mistake number 6 is rushing to get out. Now, most riders want to get out of this exercise as soon as possible. So they end up dipping it in and then immediately turn the handlebars to get out. As I mentioned in mistake number 2, the problem with this is you end up leaving space at the top of the keyhole, which then translates to the bottom of the keyhole, and it causes the rider to usually run out of the pattern here. Let me know in the comment section below which mistake you have trouble with. Now, I hope these tips help shed some light on some of the things that you might be doing. Now, if you got something out of this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Now, until next time, practice, 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 and ride safe.